Yes. What is up, guys? Vinny here. I've been recently getting this question a lot in terms of the blocks, especially for getting into one-arm handstand as a tool. So I'm going to go through some very basic foundations, how to hold the block, and primarily how I break down progressing for block climbs, which I believe is one of the best one-arm handstand drills that you can do with the blocks. So we're just going to get into it. Let's talk about hand positioning and what I like to look for in the blocks over here. So personally, I like wider blocks. In terms of the size, this is what I look for. I like to make sure that when I grip the block, I have more enough clearance that my fingers aren't touching the floor. And next thing is heel clearance of the hand, so it's not falling off. Personally, I like wider blocks, and I also like to have at least 2 fingers at the top. For narrow blocks, because I have such big hands, I probably do 1 finger at the top. Okay. When doing the block, ideally, you want your weight by the knuckle over here, shoulder over the knuckle. And let's talk about why blocks are helpful over here. Just like I was talking about how your fingers are gripping the edge, you can use a little bit of leverage that you wouldn't normally get when you're on the floor. You'll be able to make corrections for overbalance and underbalance. That would be much more difficult for you to do if you were just to do it on your hands. And the next value it gives is more forgiving on that wrist angle. Once your wrists start bugging you while doing handstands way too much, the wrist angle is more forgiving compared to the floor, where you have to be really close to the 90-degree angle and very aggressive on the grip on that knuckle over there. We're going to break down learning this skill, the block climbs, into 2 distinct movements. Okay. If I had to restart, I probably would do it with only 1 block first, learning to climb onto the fingertips on the block and back down. And then learning how to do it both sides, maybe a couple of reps. When you're first learning, I would definitely recommend doing this against the wall. But as you can see, I'm in my backyard, no wall available. So I'm going to show you what I'm trying to describe over here. So I'm going to perform this with my right hand first. This should be done in both straddle and in full. So we're going to get into a straddle here. Okay, what we're looking for is some side flexion. Okay, some elevation on the fingers, just enough that you can pull the block in. Going on to the other side, some side flexion here, just to get on the fingertips. If you can get off thumb, perfect. Back down to the floor, leaning on to the shoulder, planting, back down. All right, so for the opposite side, same thing, other fingers, enough distance. Grab the block, try to get the shoulder over the wrist, some side flexion on the hip, fingertips, okay, back down, leaning onto the shoulder a bit more, side flexion on the left, and back. The reason why I will try to learn it one side at a time is each side has its own nuances and balance, and you also want to spend time conditioning that shoulder. It has a slight, obviously we're aware that you need good elevation, but also it requires a slight tilt on the shoulder as the outside hip is flexing. Okay, and you want to address those 2 things on each side. Once you can successfully do 3 to 5 climbs onto the fingertips over there and back down. You should be confident enough to climb up the blocks. I'm going to go demonstrate this in the full position. Just so you can see, it's a little bit different. You still do have to have that engagement at the side to get that inside hip more on top of the outside shoulder. But essentially, it is the same move, just in a different position. Obviously, full position being more difficult and requiring more precision, but that's what practice is for. Like I said, reiterate one more time, it's probably best to do this when you're learning against the wall, just to get conditioning. But even if you're against the wall, I would put focus on the coordination, getting the hip over, getting that shoulder elevation in a slight tilt. That would get you into the perfect position to climb off the block. So left hip, the side flexion here, shoulder elevation, get to the fingers, grabbing the block, planting it. Okay, side flexion, all the way to the top, fingertips, back down, all right, tilting with the shoulder, putting it away, and plant it. All right, other side, the side flexion, shoulder elevation, slight tilt of the shoulder, grabbing the block, getting the inside hip over the outside, shoulder, fingertips, planting, loading the other shoulder as I'm going to almost do a one arm again, planting away, and in. So now that you've seen both how it's executed in full straddle position, I'm just going to run you through how, one set would look like. So I'm going to go straddle. I'm going to be 3 on my left side. I'm going to do 3 on my right. You don't have to do this in one go, but I typically, when I was starting, I broke it down. Couple of reps one side, then small break, couple of reps onto the other. So that's how it's going to look like. We're going to tilt, kind of fingertips. Okay, small stack, grabbing, over, back down, put it, block away, plant. Boom, fingertips, down, one, plant. So when doing this drill, it's important to really focus on nuance with the hip and the shoulders. It's a bit advanced. I'm going to show you on my right arm an easier variation where probably most people would start, but the ideal goal is to get all the way up on the block with the inside hand on the fingertips. So if you find this one hard, this is another variation I'd recommend you do. So for this one, don't have to worry about climbing all the way up to the block. Easier variations, get the tilt, plant, get the 2 hands, get away, plant the block away. Boom. Okay. Back on top. Get back in. But the goal is to start getting weight on the outside hand, and eventually getting that elevation. So this drill is wonderful for developing, just good overall strength and conditioning for the block climbs. And because the thing is, like, once you can go up both sides, going down is substantially easier than going back up. Most people can climb down without like extensive training, but the most important thing is, like I said, focus on the nuances of the hip, getting into a better position, because the goal of this drill is to get you familiar with, how it actually feels like pushing off the shoulder in that one arm handstand position, not just shuffling in and out of the blocks. You can get away with it in a way that's not conducive to learning. Here, let me show you. And here, just spamming it. Right, kind of shift to one side, throw the block away, shift to the other. Boom! And if your arms are strong enough, if you catch the block fast enough, you can spam a lot of these pretty easily. But like I said, it's not going to help get you into that ideal one-arm position. You kind of just shifting yourself, tossing a block. It's kind of like if you're very proficient at shoulder tapping, you can get away with that. But shoulder tapping is not equivalent to an actual one-arm handstand. Perfect. So just to sum everything up very quickly in review, we're starting this. This is where I want you guys to begin with. Start with one block. And when you're first starting, most likely you're going to go with straddle. This is a bit easier here. Okay. We're going to side bend a little bit. So the shoulder really aggressively elevate. Grab. Plant. Try to get two arms. Put that block away. Okay. The goal of this is really to get this transition of flexion and hip and shoulder elevation drilled down as much as possible. And when that's consistent, you hit 3 to 5 easily. Then recommend push all the way up. If you can, get on the fingertips, down, put away. So yeah, for those starting the one-arm journey and don't know where to begin, I think it's a nice spot. This block drills will be very essential for you to develop that nice shoulder elevation. Slight tilt required for the one arm. Also the drilling, side flexion required to get that inside hip over and downside hip. So yeah, I know this is very rough and raw video about it. I'm too lazy to make a fancy edit, but a lot of people are asking these questions. So yeah, I hope you find this video helpful.